Coming up on Smart Tech today, Matthew Cassinelli and I sit down to talk about zombie Philips Hue devices. That's right. How can they spread to the rest of your network? Keep yourself protected from that hack with a firmware upgrade. Plus, Google sending your videos to other people. That's not great. Before we round things out with a lot more news and some fun new devices. I've got several of them here in the studio that I unbox. Stick around for this week's episode of Smart Tech Today, and be aware that next week it'll be President's Day on Monday, so Matthew and I will not be in your podcast feed. But we'll be back the following week, so see you then. Enjoy. Smart Tech Today is brought to you from LastPass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? LastPass can ensure that they are by making access and authentication seamless. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by Casper. Casper is a sleep brand that makes expertly designed products to help you get your best rest one night at a time. Get $100 toward select mattresses by visiting casper.com/STT and using promo code STT at checkout. And by Mint Mobile. They provide the same premium network coverage you're used to, but at a fraction of the cost because everything is online. Mint Mobile makes it easy to cut your wireless bill down to just $15 a month with their 3-month introductory plan, and get the plan shipped to your door for free at mintmobile.com/STT. And by Hover. Use a domain name that truly represents you and your passion. Visit hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. Welcome back to Smart Tech Today, where we explain the exciting, the dynamic, and sometimes confusing subject that is the Internet of Things. I am Mikah Sargent.
And I am Matthew Cassinelli.
And we are here to instruct you, to inform you, to excite you, to surprise you, and maybe to make you laugh and hopefully not make you cry. Welcome, 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 folks. It is time for the news, because the news knows, and my nose is ready for news. I can smell it.
Do you smell the hacks?
Do you smell what the hacks are cooking? Is that how that goes, wrestlers?
Something like that.
Can you sniff what the Rock is smelling? That's it. Anyway, hacks. So turns out you could get a zombie Hue bulb that will then infect the rest of your network with zombie Hue disease. Tell me about this. Apparently it started with drones way back in the day. How does this work?
A few years ago, there was like a demo where somebody could just fly a drone outside your house, and then it would hack the like Zigbee network that the Hue bulbs run on and get access to your entire system. And that was a few years ago, so they fixed that all up. But apparently there is a similar hack right now where they basically hack one of your bulbs, and then it's almost like an elaborate like phishing scheme.
Yeah,
where
it's got some social engineering involved.
Yeah, exactly. They like make it turn on, like they hack the one bulb, and then it like goes all weird and doesn't show up in your network. And then you basically, they're assuming that then you'll go in and try to fix it. And when you try to fix it, it then takes over your entire network or your entire hub and everything like that, and then gets in through there. So this is not fantastic. This happened last week. And I think the news came out last week, but it happened a couple weeks or like a month or two ago. And supposedly it should already be fixed if you're updating and things like that. But not great, especially since we both tend to favor the Hue products. It's like, oh, it's always, every time it happens to someone else, you're like, man, that sucks. And then it happens to you, and it's like, oh, well.
It double sucks. No, I think it's because it speaks to the popularity of the product. I mean, one of the big reasons that Windows viruses were an issue was because you had people going after these systems that were used by everyone, and they get put in place. And so you kind of go after a system that is more available, more widely available. And so am I going to go after LifeX and, waste my time putting on my hacker gloves and hacker hoodie and typing away at my keyboard on that, or the Philips Hue system, which could then be replicated and used across multiple devices. And the thing is, it's the way that Philips Hue, Signify, whatever they want to call themselves these days, does their pairing process, which involves pressing a button on the bridge, because the idea is that there aren't going to be other people out there at the same exact time trying to pair their Hue lights while you're pairing yours. And so you get a new one connected and let the system know, hey, this is the bridge I want to pair to, by pressing a button directly on the bridge, which sort of, it's like, what was that Wi-Fi technology? It was a button that you could press. Wi-Fi protected access, I think was what it was. And essentially, when you wanted to connect a new device to your system, especially printers love to use WPA. WPS. Yeah. What is that? It's Wi-Fi protected security? Is that it? Regardless, yeah, it was the printers usually. And so then you'd go to the printer, and it would be like, okay, go press the button. So then you'd run to your Wi-Fi router and you'd press the button, and then you'd come back and you'd say, okay, I pressed the button. But sometimes you had to hit cancel instead of okay, and sometimes you pressed okay too soon. It was a mess. Hue seems to do a better job of this for sure. But given that when you press that button, it lets the
it's
people...
like opening the doors.
Yeah, you're opening up the doors at that point, and then that infected bulb connects to the rest of your system. Wi-Fi protected setup. Thank you, Scooter X, in the chat. Wi-Fi protected setup.
Yeah, nice.
Although there's nothing protected about it, in my opinion. It's the opposite of protection, but,
I feel like that's the most, frustrating part about setting up Hue products is I'm always like, cool, I got it. I'm in, the other room, and then it's like, go run... I have mine in my entryway under a thing, and they're like, go run and press the button. And then it's like, and then by the time I get back, it's already done or something like that.
It's a first world problem, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But still a struggle and an annoying one, which is why you have to have two people. And I mean, come on, us early adopters, do we really have another person who wants to get into it? No, I kid, I tease. I'm sorry, that wasn't very nice.
Well, this next one's like a self hack.
Yeah, this is a self own, if you will. So there was a bit of a technical issue, as Google calls it, with the download your data service. So for folks who don't know, Download Your Data is this fantastic system that Google has available that lets you sort of collect all or some of the information that you've stored in Google's servers or that Google has collected about you. And part of that is Google Photos. And turns out that folks involved in this technical issue between November 21st and November 25th of 2019, you may have had your archive of Google Photos exposed to other users' archives. So your photos may have been sent to someone else's archives.
Yeah, this is not good.
Yeah, so that's great. Excuse me, and there is, I want to be very clear here, it's videos in particular. So videos in Google Photos.
Ooh, that's almost worse.
That's worse. Thank you. That's what I was about to say. All of my photos are clean, but man, my video... No, I'm just kidding. I just don't want the photos of my dogs being sent off to someone else's Google Photos account. This is not good. This is not what's supposed to happen, and it is a way that you essentially drop the trust that people have in your system. I was just talking to someone last night. It was my partner's grandma, actually, and she was talking about how way back in the day, she remembers an email, some sort of technical issue with email that happened where people's emails were being sent to the wrong person. And it ended up happening at companies where, you would be gossiping about Linda from HR, and Linda from HR would get your email where you were gossiping about Linda from HR. And so it was a whole ordeal among all these people. And so this... you would stop trusting email for a while after that. If I thought that I couldn't, no one should be gossiping in email. Just say that for
That's what I was going to say.
Face-to-face conversations. But, I would imagine that people were like, well, can't do anything in emails anymore except forward forwards that I've been sent 9 times that threaten that I will die if I don't send them to 30 people.
Yeah, it is like, so it's basically like you went in, it's called Takeout, by the way, their service for exporting your data. And it's like you would go to download your own and you would just get some of somebody else's videos. And they're like, oh, it only affected less than 0.01% of Google user or Google Photos users, and they have 1 billion users. So that is still a lot of people.
So I call up the restaurant and I order a California roll, and then I get somebody else's kimchi instead.
Yeah, but it has their like face on it or
Get
something. Like,
yeah, I was going for like a takeout thing, but you're right. It involves videos, so that doesn't quite work. All right, that's a bad metaphor. Also, kimchi, I'm pretty sure is a Korean dish, and California rolls are an Americanized version of Japanese sushi, if I'm not mistaken. So, that was a bad thing I did there.
Just like accidentally bought 5 pounds of sushi rice. So
nice.
I'm stuck, but it's very sticky. So I'll be having sticky rice for a while now.
Wait. Okay, we need to stop and talk about this. So there's a place where you can just go buy a bunch of sushi rice. It's Costco, and my girlfriend just bought a bag of rice, not realizing it was like the best sushi rice, which just means that it's very like sticky and sticks together. Glutenized rice or something like that?
Maybe. I don't know.
And the funny thing is, there's no gluten in it. It's a whole separate system there. Interesting. So yeah. I don't know. So you're just eating it on its own?
Well, I'm mixing it with stuff.
Okay, good. Because
it's still just like
feels like
it's very, very sticky. So I usually don't go for that.
Yeah. Oh man, sorry. I'm just thinking of like cold oatmeal, and it's really not working out for me there. You could make a lot of sushi. Do you not like sushi?
I've just never made it at home, but I could make a video of it, upload it to Google Photos, and then you can download it.
And then I can download it when I do takeout. Perfect. See, folks, we bring it back when we get off topic a little bit, which is good. Let's actually talk about everyone's favorite. We do get a lot of emails. I'm going to go ahead and breach this subject right now. So everybody buckle in. I'm getting more serious in my chair here. It's a serious day for me. I'm feeling a little under the weather, so I just feel like I need to get this off my chest here. I understand that some of you out there who listen to this show are not HomeKit users. You may not even be Apple users, and I respect that, which is why today we started with hacks. Occasionally, however, there are stories about HomeKit. There are stories about Apple. And we do want to cover those as well as part of our normal coverage of the smart tech that exists out there. It is part of the news in the smart ecosystem. Thank you for the dramatic zoom. I appreciate that. And so today we are going to talk about 4 stories that involve HomeKit and Apple. But I promise you, we will cover other topics as well, just like those hacks we started with at the top of the show. So let's talk about the weirdest brand, in my opinion, because I can't ever figure out how to pronounce it. Sangled. Sangled? Sangled. I hope it's Sangled. Sangled. God, I hate it. Thanks, I hate it. Sangled, oh my God, it's terrible, is a company that makes smart lights, mostly. And so, they've got the light strips, they've got the BR40 bulbs, they've got the different bulbs that you can have in your home, and then they have a smart hub. So it used to be that Sangled, that's never going to get easier to say, you would use it with the Samsung SmartThings products. And so it was nice that you could have that connection in place. But they do have their own smart hub, and that now works with HomeKit. So if you did purchase Sangled bulbs or light strips or things like that, and you want to use them without the hub, with the hub, then you can do that. What's kind of interesting is that these bulbs have 2 systems in place. And I think it's important to kind of talk about this a little bit because there are pros and cons to having a hub-based network and having a network in which each bulb in your home is a Wi-Fi, it has a Wi-Fi chip in it essentially. And so each one is connecting via Wi-Fi to your router versus a single hub, which connects to your router that then communicates to those. There are differences in speed and reliability and responsiveness. There are differences in, especially when it comes to things like automations that you put in place. I find that a bridge serving as the device that sends out all of the automations and just gets to focus on being the means of communication, that's a better thing. You're clogging your Wi-Fi network much less if you have a hub in place. But if you're the person who is not interested in having a hub as part of their system, then Sangled or Sangled or whatever it is, their bulbs also do work without a hub. They can individually access the Wi-Fi network. So it's kind of interesting having both technologies there, but it's certainly one of those systems where if you just want to try one bulb in your house and make it an LED light, this is a system that you can use to do so.
Yeah, and it looks like they also work with like existing SmartThings hub and Echo hubs, but now you can kind of get one for all of your HomeKit people to set up. And I think also like it's $30. So that alone is pretty impressive, because a lot of products like this just end up adding like, oh, I have to buy another hub and it's like $60 or something like that. And I think that usually prevents a lot of people from wanting to like take that initial leap. So this does seem like a pretty low cost option. And the rest of their stuff is fairly low cost too. So it's a pretty solid addition. I wish I had seen these guys at CES, because I just didn't even know they existed, and I would have butchered their name to them. And although I still can't remember how to say why things.
Oh yeah, why things.
Even though they told me in person. So.
Oh man, did they do that? Okay, now say it with me now.
We got to do like a pronunciation guide episode where it's
we should, because that's the thing is there are a lot of companies out there, and there are a lot of companies who want to have clever names, and you just can't win them all, and you can't pronounce them all.
Yeah, sometimes it gets a little lost in translation too.
Like, is it Phillips Hue or is it Phillips Hue? I don't know. Is it?
We'll never know.
We'll never know. No one will ever tell us. And then another favorite of ours, is it Adobe or is it Abode?
It's Abode.
Oh, it's Abode. You're right. Oh my God, Lord help us. So Abode, which makes some really beautiful smart home products, now has so they've got multiple security systems that they have, and so there's the IOTA system, and now they've added HomeKit compatibility to the Smart Security Kit. So if you had the IOTA, which was the self-installed home security system that they had that had multiple devices involved, so you could have the camera and the little beep beeps, the fobs that let you turn on and off the system. I just call them beep beeps, and people know what I'm talking about. This system also has it, which is quite nice. I mean, as I said, Abode makes some really good-looking systems that are kind of all-encompassing, and that's another thing that I would touch on as an important factor when you're trying to get a good compatibility and communication between devices. It's better to have those devices sort of all being from the same system. More so, there's nothing wrong with mixing stuff. My house is full of different products from different companies that all work under the HomeKit network, and it works fine. But when it comes to that really deep integration, you're going to get a better result if they are coming from the same company. So obviously opening this up to more and letting people use this second system from Abode is really nice.
Yeah, and it does, just so everybody knows, the IOTA kit, which already has HomeKit, can be used with Wi-Fi and has an HD camera, but this new one actually does need Ethernet, which is a little bit of a limitation, but it doesn't have a camera, which is nice if you don't want one in your house, but use like the motion sensor or like door sensor and stuff like that.
Scooter X in the chat, do you actually mean Adobe, or do you mean Abode? Scooter X in the chat says Adobe had an ad during the Oscars last night. I did not watch the Oscars, so I do not know about the ads. So I'm curious which company. Of course, if it's Adobe, I bet a lot of people who are watching the Oscars that work in, art and design and computer graphics and stuff were like, oh yeah, I use some of those apps, which is kind of nice, kind of fun.
It is a Bode though.
It's a Bode?
No, the one that we're talking about.
The one that we're talking about
Adobe doesn't do smart home stuff. That's what I'm looking. I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, what I'm
asking
that's a
departure.
Is if Scooter X is saying that Adobe had an ad, or if Scooter X is saying that Abode had an ad, because I could see either being the case. If a smart home system. I mean, we used to get those Brinks ads all the time. Adobe had a long, fancy ad for their apps, not Abode. Thank you, Scooter X. So there we go. They had an ad. Abode did not. I hate that name of that company too. Can I just say there are just some companies I just am not going to talk about anymore because their names? No, I'm kidding. But if Abode doesn't show up anymore, you know why. I'm kidding. So, Eve, this is one of the systems that is near and dear to my heart. Eve Home used to be called Elgato Eve. Elgato is the company that makes game capture cards, which you as a streamer probably know a little bit more about, as well as really cool streaming devices like the Stream Deck thingy, and some lighting and all these different things. And that company got purchased by, I believe it's called Corsair, and the Elgato gaming brand sort of went off that way, and Eve split off into its own thing called Eve Home. And I use several of their products. I've got Eve light switches, I've got Eve plugs, I've got Eve room monitors, Eve temperature sensors, an Eve weather station, I think even, get it?
Probably. The Degree?
Eve Degree, Eve Room, Eve Degree, pretty much a lot of the Eve Home stuff, because the company really, I think they've got some great people working for them. But they make, as I was talking about, a system of products, and that system of products works really well together. And also, I think it's important that I stay aware. I tend to choose Wi-Fi connected smart home stuff. I like the Wi-Fi connection because I found it to be more reliable. I found it's no issue in the homes that I've lived in. Eve tends to make Bluetooth connected stuff. And I think it's important, as a person who talks about this, to have experience with the Bluetooth stuff. And so that is why I make sure to sort of be, aware of that network as well. And so, I've got quite a few Eve products, including the Eve light strip.
Nice.
Oh, I forgot. I've also got the Eve energy strip.
That's what I was just going to say is the Eve Energy or the Eve Room. I'm showing these all on camera for anyone listening because they just sent me a giant box full of all of these things to try out. So I have the Eve Energy also, which was just redesigned. It used to be like a big chair or big square chunky thing, and now it's like a normal outlet, so it doesn't take up both, which is awesome.
Is it still Bluetooth LE?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was just looking at the back of their packaging, and it's like no cloud, no registration, no profiling on there. So they've definitely got a little marketing message there with it.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's got the Bluetooth icon too. So
including
I haven't set
their
them up
site,
yet or anything.
The site is very clear, 100% about privacy. We don't have a cloud for you to do your stuff. There's no registration and no profiling. And that's one of the things that I've always talked about with HomeKit in particular. It's part of the requirements that Apple has in place that say if you want to be if you want to use our badge as part of your marketing, and if you want to work with Apple HomeKit, you have to make it so that you can set up the product that you sell within the Apple Home app without having to download any third-party app, connect to any other accounts, anything like that. So off the jump, it is a really nice system, and Eve is sort of doubling down on that and saying, look, we don't even want, because even the ones that you can set up that way, you can often go into the apps and create an account and do all that kind of stuff. Eve's like, we don't want any part of it.
Nothing at all. Yeah, it'll be interesting to get this all set up. I was like looking for the door and window thing because I've left my front door open once or twice, maybe, when I left the house.
How?
our system has like a weird. It's just the way the locks work. Like you can undo the bolt, and then the door is like technically open, but the other lock isn't closed. And so I think if I like didn't close it fully, it will just like reopen itself a little bit. I don't remember exactly. I haven't done it since then because I immediately learned my lesson when my girlfriend like was like, why is the front door open? And I was like at the like, coffee shop, and I was like, what? Like,
oh, that's scary.
Thankfully, our cat stayed inside.
Oh,
he's scared, so
kitty.
not exploring around. But yeah, hopefully this will help me avoid that.
Oh man. And then there's also now the Starling Home Hub, which
the Starling Darling.
Exactly. Their logo is a little bird and its mother in a nest. This is used to link Nest products to Apple HomeKit. So this is quite interesting. You've got your Nest doorbell, your Nest cameras, your Nest thermostats, and the security systems in place. Starling serves as a go-between for the Nest system to actually provide HomeKit integration for your Nest stuff. That is a clever idea right there.
Yeah. It's basically like Hoobs. It looks like our favorite home bridge out of the box, but specifically for Nest stuff using the like Homebridge Nest project and just like a commercialized version of it. So it's $89 and it does say you have to be directly connected to your router or like an Ethernet switch.
It's not using Homebridge though, is it? Because Homebridge,
I believe so.
Really? So the reason I ask that is because I have been unable to find a Homebridge plugin that actually works with the Nest camera. The other stuff, yes, but I don't have the other stuff. The thing I have is the Nest camera. And up to this point, I have never been able to get access to it using Homebridge. And so that was one of kind of the letdowns that I had, was remembering, oh yeah, I can't actually make that work. So
it's saying it's built by the guy who developed Homebridge Nest, like the plugin. So I assume so. I don't know why he'd be selling it if it didn't work.
Well, I imagine it works, but I wonder if he just stopped development on the Nest plugin for Homebridge and started working on this. Because then if you go do that the other way, then you're not making money.
Yeah. Well, he still did the work, and then I think it's mostly just like it is open source, but then this is a way to get it without having to figure out how to set up Homebridge or pay for something like Hoobs if you just want it for Nest. So
I'm gonna have to try it again. Solid. Maybe it has been updated. It's just the last time I tried it, it did not work with the Nest Cam. And
I wonder if the Wi-Fi thing is somehow related. Like, if your thing needs to be on Ethernet in order to work with the camera.
Oh yeah. Now I do have my Hoobs system actually. Interesting. Integrate your Nest thermostat and Nest Protect devices. Nest Protect devices. Currently all Nest thermostat and Nest Protect models. Camera and Nest Secure Detect support may come later.
Oh, okay.
I don't currently
So it's
own
for the
these
thermostat.
devices.
I see. Oh, okay. I was thinking, I forget it's even called a Nest camera now. Drop cam. That's what is still in my brain. But I've also never... I think that was one of those things where I was like, oh, I'll wait till it gets HomeKit. And then Google bought them. And it was like, ooh.
So then I wonder why...
That's probably never going to happen.
I wonder why they're showing the camera on the website.
Yeah, that's not great.
I'm going to have to tweet.
It's coming soon.
It says
just HomeKit supports it now.
Oh, is that what it says? Because it says, see what's happening anywhere in your home using your Nest Cam with live high-quality video and audio. So this is claiming...
Yeah.
I'm
Maybe
so confused.
Yeah.
I need this.
Well, I feel like I was going to say, you should get it. Maybe send him a DM.
I'm going to slide into those DMs and figure out what's going on. Starling, my guy. Let me nestle up to you in this nest and let's have a chitty chat. And while we're doing that, let's replace our nests with Casper mattresses. And that's what we call a segue, folks. This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by Casper. It's an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the cost. Their products are cleverly designed to mimic human curves, providing supportive comfort for all kinds of bodies, including my pal Leo Laporte there, who is showing off his Casper box as he opens it up and gets ready to sleep and have the night of his life on the Casper mattress. You spend, I can't stress this enough, one dadgum third of your life sleeping. A third of your life, the life that you live, is spent asleep. Please invest in that. You should be comfortable. The original Casper mattress, that beautiful original mattress, that's the one that I have. It combines multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep surface with the right amount of both sink and bounce. Its breathable design helps you sleep cool and regulates your body temperature throughout the night. With over 20,000 reviews and an average of 4.8 stars across Casper, Amazon, and Google, Casper is becoming the internet's favorite mattress. Look, I bought a Casper. It was not a sponsor gift or anything like that. This was before I was really a part of podcasts. I bought a Casper mattress after I fell in love with the Casper mattress and started doing podcasts. I still purchased my pillows, the Casper pillows, the Casper sheets, and then I realized how easily movable and transferable the Casper bed frame and the Casper box spring were. And to this day, they go with me everywhere I go, and they come apart really easily and are transferable. I've also, several members of my family, some friends have recommended it, and everybody is happy with their Casper. No one sends it back, although you can if you need to. There are 3 other mattresses that Casper offers: the Wave, the Essential, and the Hybrid. The Wave features a patent-pending premium support system that mirrors the natural shape of your body. The Essential, it has a streamlined design at a price that won't keep you up at night. And then there's the Hybrid, which does bring back springs. It's got the pressure relief of that award-winning foam, but those durable yet gentle springs. And, as I mentioned, a wide array of other products like those pillows and the sheets that all have been so great. I remember unboxing my Casper and it taking in its first breath of air, and I said, my child, my child. And then it snuggled me, and I just have never felt so loved. Certainly was one of the revelatory experiences was laying down for my first night of sleep with the Casper. Now, you out there, don't worry, don't stress, because that's not good for your sleep. You can be sure of your purchase with Casper's 100-night risk-free Sleep On It trial. You know, you never know about a mattress until you've had a chance to sleep on it. So obviously, you want to have some time, more than a week, more than 2 weeks. No, you get 100 nights before you decide if you want to keep the mattress. And there's also free shipping and painless returns to the US and Canada. You can get a Casper mattress today and save $100 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/STT and using the code STT at checkout. That's $100 off select mattresses by going to casper.com/STT and entering code STT at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks so much to Casper for sponsoring this week's episode of Smart Tech Today. Hey, we do appreciate you. So the UK thinks it takes 3 steps, just 3 simple steps to make smart home devices secure. You do these 3 things and bada bing, bada boom, smart home devices are secure. No, the UK, much in the way of the UK, has a plan that they're sort of putting into place that are requirements for smart home devices to help make them more secure. And, these are basic things that companies should be doing anyway. God save the Queen. And so one is that consumer-facing internet-connected devices must have passwords that are unique and that cannot be reset to a universal factory setting. So right now, your router, you go to it, 192.168.0.0.1, I think. And I go to that, and on most people's systems, I can type in admin, and I get right in. And that's not a good thing.
My password is 1234, so you won't be able to get in there.
You're right. Right. Especially not now. And so that I think is a really a good requirement. Manufacturers must also provide a public point of contact so that anyone can report a vulnerability, and it must be acted on in a timely manner. So it's sort of bug bounty without getting paid. It's just, you got to have a person there to hear all of the complaints.
Your title is, you are the official scapegoat. No.
Yes. Oh, man. I
Just
would not
blame
want
this guy.
that job. I would not want that job. You call 1-800-STEAMER and you talk to the smart steamer manufacturer. Hello? My steamer was hacked. What do I need to do about it? I can't steam the clothes. It's steaming my vegetables instead. Sir, that's not really a vulnerability. No, it's making me feel vulnerable because none of my clothes are steamed, and I just don't feel very, very put together when I've got wrinkles in my clothes. Anyway, and then last but not least, man, sometimes you just let me go and you really can't.
Oh, I'm just watching. I'm just observing.
Oh, you're enjoying the show as well. I appreciate that. Manufacturers of these devices have to explicitly state the minimum length of time for which the device will receive security updates at the point of sale, either in-store or online. That last one is so important.
Yeah.
So it's basically saying you have to admit to the eventual expiration date of this product.
Maybe Sonos should have done this.
Ooh, too soon. 1,000 people just cried.
Including me. Because mine, that's affected me the most.
Bless.
Yeah, it's pretty solid basics there, it seems like. It's like to have good passwords, make sure somebody can actually fix stuff and it's not just a black hole, and then let people know ahead of time. It's not like all those sad stories where their dancing robot dances them a song as it dies.
Oh.
That story was so good.
Oh. No, I think that this is, sometimes I think that these regulations are a little bit too, they're outside of the scope of what actually happens in an industry, and they are too limiting or too in depth and don't quite provide for, some wiggle room, but good wiggle room. And I feel like these are broad, but specific.
Just like covering the basics.
Yeah, exactly. These are just things that you really should do. And so I do appreciate this. I think the second one is a little troublesome. I do think that, it shouldn't be a black hole, but I think it'll be interesting to see how they sort of separate a support call from a vulnerability call, and what they take as a vulnerability call. And you know what I mean? There's just a lot there to kind of dig into. And then that last one I think is great, because people should know that they can count on a product having security up to a certain point, which also just kind of means having that product work up to a certain point. That's pretty clever.
It is kind of fascinating, though, because I can't think of anything that I buy that, I guess, besides maybe like a car that has like, this will only work for like 10 years and then you're out of luck. It is just like interesting to put that up ahead. I mean, it says you can do it online also, so I doubt they will be on the products themselves, but somewhere on an obscure page on their website you can find it.
And do you feel, when you buy a smart bulb, you go into it knowing that at some point the smart bulb is not going to work, right?
Yeah, but also I wouldn't just assume that for whatever reason the like server side of it gets shut down. Like, I mean, in my brain, it's still like when the bulb burns out or something like that. Not like, oh, the company just shut down or something like that. I mean, that's the whole other thing is how can companies even guarantee that they'll be around that long?
I'm very curious
most of
about
the time, probably not.
The predictions there and sort of what the regulations will be surrounding those predictions, for sure.
But maybe that like encourages companies to think longer term or something. Maybe not. But the like linked Engadget article also says that they're basically implementing it as soon as possible, but it will be a voluntary basis at first to basically see if this works and how like stringent it is or like how limiting it is to companies. So that's, I guess, what you said of like there is a little wiggle room for people to like give feedback and say, hey, maybe this one part is too particular or something. But that'll be interesting to see. I wonder if something like that will cross the pond. Is that the...
Ooh. Will it cross the pond? We'll see.
We'll have to get our own regulations.
It's good basic rules that I would like to have in place, but we'll see. Now, Samsung SmartThings. This is actually, it's a favored system for a lot of folks. It's not one that I've used regularly. I am aware of Samsung SmartThings and SmartThings on its own. They have really put in place a quite impressive system and network of devices that all work together. And I have to give it credit for that. But there is a new update that adds what's called a virtual home feature that is akin to...
It's HomeKit for SmartThings.
Thank you.
Or
you
the HomeKit design.
You said it, not me. But yeah, it's akin to what you get from Apple's HomeKit and the Google Home app as well. And I would say even Amazon's Alexa app offers some of this functionality. I think this is great. I don't care what system you're using. Any system that gives you sort of an overview of the devices in your home and lets you control them in a way that makes sense and is intuitive is a good system. I have no spite against everybody being able to use their smart devices to the best of their, ability based on the system that's in place.
Yeah, it's pretty solid too. They have a virtual home where you can basically like try out products that you don't own yet and see what you could do with them, which I think is awesome because I think a lot of times people just like struggle figuring out, or like you don't really know what you can do with the product until you get it and like see all of the different settings it specifically has. So this does seem like basically like a way to upsell.
I was going to say it's a little markety. It feels like an Instagram post where it's like, you can buy these 7 products that this influencer is wearing. And it's got the little dots that you tap on. And then it's like this product from here. And it's $130. So I kind of am a little skidgy about the marketing, but I agree with you that if you're a smart home enthusiast and you find joy from this thing, you enjoy having smart home stuff and you're trying to figure out, what can I add next? Or you know someone who's into the smart home and you happen to be part of that smart home. That's great to know how this product might work, or if I want to add this particular thing, or what does this motion sensor do, or what are the possibilities? That could be good.
I mean, even just looking at the screenshots on here, it shows a Subaru, which I didn't know could connect to smart home stuff. I have a Subaru and I feel like I might look into this because it looks like you can hook into your car through like the service that you pay for every year. This is awesome. I guess it's like one of those things where I didn't know it existed.
You just got it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's already working. Nice. That's cool.
Is it still true that Subarus run on love?
I think so.
Cool.
And branding.
I thought you said brandy at first, and I was like, I run on brandy too.
Just poured in the gas tank.
Yeah. It's fine. You just throw in a little love, just pour in some brandy, and your car explodes. Yeah. Okay, we're moving. That was an incredible graphic that if you are not watching, you totally missed. By the way, you can also tune into this show as video for those of you who are listeners. Totally okay to just listen along, but if you ever want to watch it in video, we have it available for you to download as well as to watch on YouTube.
And I will tell you about a secret thing that works too in our project for the video and podcast feeds.
There's a reason for you to stick around, people who don't like it when we talk about Apple, which is what we're about to do. But shout out to Kevin over on the boards, making sure we've got these switches switching when they switch, and having the British flag, the Jolly Roger. What's it called? The Jolly Jack? The Jacko?
Yeah, I don't know.
Queen O'Lantern. That's it. Thank you. Person in the chat who's definitely real and is not someone I just made up. Let's move on, please. Apple details artificial intelligence to help voice assistants recognize hot words and multilingual speakers. What? No.
Yeah.
This is Apple releasing more of its research in what they call their papers, which I love. I love when a company is kind of like, hey, this is the stuff we're thinking about. This is the stuff we're working on, and these are some possible futures that we have for an AI model that can both do speech recognition and speaker recognition. So both at the same time, which is kind of like what we want from our smart assistants, right?
Yeah. I think they were saying like most models do it in a sequential order where they detect whether or not you're using the trigger phrase, and then they detect, based off of that, who is the person. And this is it's fairly technical, but it's basically like you can do both at once. And it's like 7.9% more effective, I think it is, where they can basically both identify who you are and that you're using the trigger phrase at the same time.
Kind of like humans do.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like
if you say,
sequential.
Hey, Mikah, I know that it's, I may know that it's you.
Alert. Is that Matthew? I mean, that's kind of how you work.
I play it back in my head and then I go, that was Matthew. No, I know at the same time that you're saying my name to both turn and see that it's you.
Did you know that babies innately can detect like stuff like that? I took a science class where they talked about how like children can detect beats innately, and when something is like out of the normal, they'll like turn their head and pay attention.
Interesting.
And that was like a whole study. It's kind of cool.
Kind of like dogs.
Yeah, but it's like it's part of it's innate human behavior. You don't learn it. You like it's part of being instinct. A human. Yeah,
cool.
But so basically, I mean, that simple one is just like it can just go faster. So it's not like doing 2 requests and then operates, and it's like less power or something like that. So maybe something like this enables things like always on listening that doesn't always have to be plugged in, because HomePod right now has to be plugged in at all times, like most smart speakers. But it would be cool to see a future where like things don't always have to be plugged in, but could still be listening. The way I said that sounds creepy, but still have the ability to hear you when you want them to, not necessarily always listen. But.
That's such a tough thing too. I was when I was talking about the email deal with my partner's grandma, we were also talking about, I was kind of explaining how these devices do that trigger word listening. And the way that I ended up describing it was it's sort of like a coin sorter or one of those baby play things where you've got the triangle, the square, the circle, and the rectangle, and you've got to fit those pieces in. It's essentially those holes are always open and you're throwing shapes over the top, and it's essentially listening the whole time. And it's only when those shapes fit that it then locks into place. And some systems, like Amazon's system, those holes are a little bit bigger. And so a square might actually come along and fall into the triangle, but it still fits and it still triggers that keyword. So it's a company's job to decide how small or large it makes those shapes. In other words, how sensitive it is about that keyword and what words that kind of sound like it are also accepted as triggers of those keywords. But it would be really cool. It's not my job, thank God, but I can't figure out a way to make this happen to where it doesn't have to keep those shapes open somehow. In other words, that it's not always listening. And I know that it's only listening for those keywords. I know that it's not saving that data, that it's not, working outside of that scope. But when you tell an average person that, it does make them feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And it's hard.
It's a good metaphor, though.
Thank you. And it's hard to explain sort of how it's okay and why that isn't something to be concerned about, because that often then gets paired with, well, the other day I was talking about Juji fruit, and then I was on Facebook and I saw an ad for Juji fruit, and I'm pretty sure Facebook is listening to my phone when it's sitting across the room. And to be able to say, no, here's what probably happened, while you're also telling them that, hey, if you have Hey Boo Boo turned on, oh, this reminds me, I've got a thing I need to say. If you have Hey that company that makes the search engine turned on, then it's always listening to you. Those two kind of don't sync up together, and that kind of becomes an issue.
What was your extra point?
Yeah, I guess I'll do that follow up right now. So this was an email that we received the other day, and this comes from Marcus, and Marcus sent an email to Smart Tech Today. On the February 3rd, 2020 episode of Smart Tech Today, 16, Smart Tech at the Super Bowl, our friend Mikah says, "Hey, BOO, at about 7 minutes and 30 seconds, which, as he correctly claims, triggers Google Home devices. Unfortunately, it also triggered mine, waking me unexpectedly." Wow. Marcus, my sincere apologies that I woke you from your sleep. I also happen to listen to, I also happen to listen to podcasts at night from time to time and fall asleep to them. And I would be devastated if I was woken from sleep and ready to break my phone in half across my knee. So I hope you didn't do that. And I'm sorry for triggering your Google Home device.
That's not great that he fell asleep 7 minutes into the podcast.
Ooh, you do have a point there. I guess I take it back. No, he was probably, I'd like to think that we were on the playlist of multiple podcasts he was listening to as he went to sleep, and that we're not so boring within the first 7 minutes of a podcast that he's asleep by 7 minutes and 30 seconds in. Darn it, Matthew.
Oh, I'm recording a podcast. Sorry, I fell asleep.
Darn it, you just ruined it for me.
I guess so. The other half of their paper, or they've released like multiple papers. One was saying that they're even better at like mitigating false triggers. But then the other one was about how they're basically getting better at identifying multilingual speakers. And that's the people speaking, not the speakers themselves.
Gotcha.
That got confusing reading this article a couple of times. But basically, like in a recent study by Washington Post, they were saying that Google and Amazon were 30% less likely to understand non-American accents than those of native-born users. So you basically it's like 30% worse if you don't speak English. And then it's like they're working on the explanation of these papers gets really in depth, and it's like honestly blows over my head a little bit because they're talking about like the technical parts of the speaker or of the whole research and everything. But these are super interesting to read. Maybe read before you fall asleep at bed. Yeah, it'll put you to sleep in 7 minutes.
Although I just learned that now they're no longer recommending even reading in bed. Yeah. Which is wild.
Stimulates your brain. Wow.
Yeah. So really, it's just sleep and sexual activity that should take place in bed and nothing else. I'm going to let you pick a couple more of these, but before that, we're going to take a quick break because we are coming up on the time here. This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by Ring Ring. It's Mint Mobile. If you're still using one of the big wireless providers this year, have you asked yourself what you're paying for? Between expensive retail stores, inflated prices, and hidden fees, you're being taken advantage of because they know you'll pay. Enter Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile provides the same premium network coverage you're used to, but at a fraction of the cost because everything is online. Mint Mobile saves on retail locations and overhead, then passes those savings directly to you. Mint Mobile sent over a little care package with a mug and some socks and a shirt, and that was fine. Liked that quite a bit. But what was the important thing was there was a SIM card in there from Mint Mobile service, and I've been using that in my iPad that I carry around with me everywhere, and actually recently went on a trip with me to Washington and then a drive back, which was a 16-hour drive, something like that. And having that device to let my partner stream video on while I was driving and then me stream video on while he was driving was really, really nice. And even times when the big mobile carrier on my phone was having trouble with connection, Mint Mobile was there to fill in the blanks for us. So I really have appreciated having Mint Mobile service, and also the way that they make it so simple. It's just like getting data and not having to worry about all the rest of it. Mint Mobile makes it easy. You can cut your wireless bill down to just $15 a month with their 3-month introductory plan. Every plan comes with unlimited nationwide talk and text. With Mint Mobile, you stop paying for unlimited data you'll never use and just choose between plans with 3, 8, or 12 gigabytes of 4G LTE data. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. All that stays there. You don't have to worry about that. So ditch your old wireless bill and start saving with Mint Mobile. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month with their 3-month introductory plan and get that plan shipped to your door for free, you head to mintmobile.com/STT. That's mintmobile.com/STT. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month with their 3-month introductory plan at mintmobile.com/STT. Thanks so much to Mint Mobile for sponsoring Smart Tech today. And Matthew, which one did you choose?
I have two things here. So basically, Apple has now outsold the entire Swiss watch industry. That's hard to say.
Wow.
Where it's been 5 years since the Apple Watch launched, and now they're basically selling more Apple Watches than all of the traditional watches. And this is pretty just like fascinating seeing over time, because they were all very skeptical about it right away. And then, I mean, it's just Apple, so they're very good at selling stuff, especially for a decent amount of money. I have no idea how much the watch prices compare, because I feel like traditional watches are a little bit pricier than Apple Watch.
Unless you get the gold one, then it's about the same.
You know, fair. I don't think they sold that for a while though. Or the like gold, not just gold color.
Yes, let me be clear. Let him be clear for me.
But yeah, it's just like, does speak to the size of the Apple Watch market is massive. I think Renee Ritchie tweeted, it was either this or a similar article, and I was like, I guess it's time to make more Apple Watch videos, because I feel like sometimes it can seem, I mean, you don't like, everybody has smartphones, but not everybody has smartwatches, and so It's always kind of like a sneaker thing, but I do feel like I see more and more people wearing them.
Yeah.
So it kind of follows.
And honestly, everybody kind of falls into different groups for the reasons that they have their devices. Mine is definitely a health device for me. Mm-hmm. I remember, although there was one day that I came in, I was in such a rush, I guess, that I totally forgot my watch, but I felt naked without it. And I didn't used to with Series 0 and even Series 1, but now these days it's sort of a comfort thing for me almost, because of the ways that it has helped me health-wise with monitoring my heart and stuff like that. And I just want everyone to have them. You know, my mom has one, 2 of my brothers have them. I need to get my sister one. And I love the idea of folks having access to their internals. I've talked about these ambulatory meat sacks before. We go around in our lives piloting these things, and we don't know a whole lot about them. Most people don't know a whole lot about them. And the more I can know about this thing that I have to pilot around for as long as the rest of my life is, be it gone tomorrow or gone in 100 years, I want to have as much information about that as possible, because it's me. I've got to use it. I need to know about it.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting. Samsung's doing their what's it called, Unpacked event tomorrow, so maybe there will be more smartwatch stuff on that front too for people who aren't Apple users.
Cool. Let's see if there's hardware in that camp.
Yeah, and then the last story I want to talk about just real quick is that Google now has Siri shortcuts, and they've had a couple before, but now you can ask Siri to Google something for you, which sounds a little silly, but
no, that's nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I do think Siri results use Google, but they just open you into that like little search field. It shows you like 3 results and then takes you into Safari. Yeah. And then the thing that drives me nuts there is that it doesn't actually use your search term. Like, you can't go back to the page to find out like a different article. And so I'm pretty sure it just opens into the Google app, but you can have this be like part of your shortcuts and just trigger it with Siri anytime you want. So I guess you could just say, Google this. I wonder, I was going to say, I don't want to put Google, hey, reversed as the trigger phrase, because otherwise everything else will go off at the same time. But it is like Google is all in on the shortcuts game, and I feel like some other companies like that size aren't. So I do appreciate when Google supports iOS, because a lot of people are using Google products from iPhone and iPad, and this just makes sense.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm always down for people supporting shortcuts.
You are? I thought you really just sort of hated that.
Yeah, I'm okay. The other one is that RoomMe is now getting their support, which we talked about a while ago. And RoomMe. I will hand this off to you, because you were saying
about RoomMe.
You want to do it for your next project. Was that it?
Yes. So I want to quickly talk about RoomMe. RoomMe uses Bluetooth connections with smartphones to sort of do room occupation detection. There are multiple ways to do occupation detection. Most of the time it's done using motion sensing technology. But the problem with motion sensing technology is if you, like I, can sometimes be a couch potato, you might not move again in time to let the room sensor know that you're in the room. But if it has Bluetooth connection with your device, or can sort of like just sort of frog tongue out and say, oh, yep, that fly's still out there. It knows that fly's still in the room. And so it doesn't need that fly to move from the spot that it's in. Weird metaphors today, right?
Yeah. I was like, wait, what?
I'm out of my mind. Anyway, so here's the RoomMe. They've actually sent me a couple of these. Oh, look, there are a couple. These RoomMe sensors. And for folks who are listening, I am holding them up, but you're not missing a whole lot. It's some white boxes that are in the shape of a square. And they have inside the RoomMe sensor, a ceiling bracket, a mounting kit, and installation instructions. So I'm going to open one of these bad boys up now just to take a look at how big it is. I assume it's going to look a lot like a smoke detector.
Yeah.
And there's the website. This is the company called SmartThings, by the way, designed and made in Israel with a U.S. patent, not even patent pending. And so it's got a plastic contraption over it. I could pour some Jell-O in here and make a cool Jell-O mold, probably lime flavored. And here is the RoomMe sensor. It does look a whole lot like a smoke detector.
Is that like 3 or 4 inches across? Maybe even more. 2,
3, 4, about 4 inches. A little bit wider than 4 inches. Smaller than a bread box. The one thing I don't like about the RoomMe sensor, and this is something that I knew from doing some research early on, is that it takes batteries. And what kind of batteries does it take, Matthew?
The D batteries.
It does. It does take the D batteries. Those are huge.
Got to get to batteries.
Those are huge, heavy batteries. And I don't even know where to get D batteries. No, I can probably get them on Amazon.
This normal store? Yeah, what?
Come on. I just want to complain about D batteries. Let me do my thing. And then here's the little bracket that lets you sort of click it into place. I love that it's designed and made in Israel. That's different. You know, we're used to designed in America, made
California.
in China. Yeah, usually designed in California, exactly.
Eve stuff is made in Taiwan.
Oh, is it designed there? I'm kidding.
It.
And then it's got a little wizard mascot, which is kind of fun.
Nice.
And this is the installation guide.
That makes sense, because the article is like, you can execute your charms on demand.
Yes. So that is what they call their little automations. But essentially, you just put in the D batteries. You mount the little plastic bracket onto the ceiling, and you should probably use either you should use the included wall anchors, or in this case ceiling anchors, or go into a stud on the ceiling, because again, D batteries, and then you slide it on and click it into place, and then You download the app, and it lets you connect with that. This just recently added support for, as you mentioned, shortcuts. What I'm hoping we see in the future is HomeKit. HomeKit? That's not a word. HomeKit support. And the reason why is because I don't like to run automations for things through other devices, if that makes sense. I don't like to have to connect the RoomMe sensor with my Philips Hue system in order to do Philips Hue automations. Yeah. Let me use this as an occupancy sensor within the HomeKit app that I can then use to trigger some automations. So I'm going to be in touch with the company about whether they see adding support via HomeKit as well. Yeah. And of course, this is an upcoming project, so I will follow up with this whenever I get a chance to really dig in and find some D batteries, as I said.
Gotta find D batteries.
Find D. Oh, that's the joke you were making. I get it now.
It's like a Dimitri Martin joke from like 10 years ago or something like that.
Gotcha. Well,
also just
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, for anybody who like hasn't heard of RoomMe before, part of it is that it's supposed to be like you walk into the room and it sets it to like your favorite lighting and music versus somebody else, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious if the shortcuts thing works. Probably not. I was going to say through home automations also, but I doubt it. So.
Oh yeah, that is a good question.
I would have a lot of fun with that, but maybe I'll have to make a video. I was going to say, like, I didn't know you had two, and now I'm all jealous.
Yeah. I think that's kind of I thought they were only going to send me one, and it's kind of just one is not really enough to show so I'm glad that they sent me two so I can do two separate spaces. But yeah, I'll send them to you afterwards. Of course, if they add HomeKit support, I'm going to want them back. So just keep that in mind. Unless these might be review units and not review samples. So if they're units, then they got to go back at some point. Okay. Let's create some magic, it says on the side. You got to be smarter than the box, Mikah. And there we go. Okay. Matthew Cassinelli, what's your project?
Yes, this is something fun that I put together, and I'm not going to always link to my own stuff, but basically this show is an audio podcast, but we do have our video element, and there's some fun times where it's worth jumping out of the podcast into the YouTube channel, but that's not exactly easy. And so naturally, me being me, I designed a Siri shortcut that it only works with Overcast for now, but it basically takes the share link from Overcast, which includes a timestamp at the end, and then converts that into the number of seconds into the YouTube video that we are in, and then opens the deep link into the YouTube video, like right to that same moment. Wow. So sometimes it's like a couple of seconds off because I think we trim. Sometimes we perhaps make mistakes and that gets trimmed out. Yeah. But it basically works automatically, and Overcast has get share URL with timestamp is their Siri shortcuts. Gotcha. And then I do a bunch of fancy math to basically like isolate the end part and then do the math to format it into seconds. Then it gets the YouTube channel RSS feed, grabs the latest video, and then opens that. So I had originally. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say. So this is handy on those times where one of us goes, and if you're watching the video right now, you'd see this. Then someone could sort of hit that minus 10 seconds button, then run this shortcut and pop right into the YouTube video at that spot.
Yeah, you can like say, "Show me this clip" is the way I named it, and to Siri, and it'll immediately open into the YouTube video into that exact moment. And so there are some slight downsides where it's like you have to be an Overcast user, but I did tweet about this and both Pocket Casts and Castro replied to me saying that they would add this in a future update. So I was like, yes, excellent. Because it is like, even just for other purposes, having the actual time in the URL is just handy. And then the other thing is that you can't go backwards. So that is the shame. It's like you'd have to watch the little clip and then skip forward in the podcast. I guess now that I think about it, I could have another shortcut that jumps ahead a couple of times or something like that.
Whoa, don't let him run away, folks.
Yeah, you can always go way too deep in this. But basically, I want YouTube to support that, where they should already have like share the link to the current video, because that would be really useful. And so I don't it's not exactly as easy to get Google to do something as it is independent developers, but I feel like I should make a bigger stink about this, because this would be awesome. And I got to figure out too, if anybody on Android does this type of like automation things, this should be fairly possible, because it's all open URLs and things like that, like the current podcast and the current YouTube video and things like that. But it's pretty fun. I built this originally. I had a podcast before called Supercomputer, and we did a couple of video episodes, and I was like, I want to be able to jump right into that moment. So now that we're doing even more with video here on Smart Tech Today, it's pretty fun to share. And I feel like this is just super useful. It's like, I wish it wasn't as, I don't want to say it's hacky, but it does, like, I wish there was just some native way to do this. Like every video podcast should have a way to go from the audio to the video feed right away. So hopefully something like that comes in the future. Apple, if anybody's listening, please add more native support for something like this, because that would be cool. Especially like the way Twit we have our video feed and the MP3 feed. If you could just like switch real quick or something like that.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
Actually, you know what? I bet I could do that. There's podcast actions. Okay.
All right. Save it for later.
Well, yeah, maybe I'll do that for the next project.
Excellent. That's great. I am looking forward to seeing more from that, but we will include a link to your article where you have that shortcut linked. So for folks who do use shortcuts, that'll be available to you. Cool. And let's go ahead, and before we move on to our picks of the week, I want to tell you about our last sponsor, which is just one of my favorite doggone companies. Probably get more of my money than any company out there. And that's just because it's so fun to have domain names, you know. This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by Hover. Hover is a jumping off point for many entrepreneurs, and they want you to start your business with a domain name that truly showcases who you are. Hover has over 300 domain name extensions to choose from when building your brand online. No matter what you want to build, there's a domain name waiting for it. In fact, the other day, well, actually, it's been a little while now, my sister makes these incredible custom painted shoes. She'll take a pair of shoes and she paints incredible things on them. She's done cartoon characters, and she's in the process of making me a pair of Baby Yoda shoes that I can't wait to see. So I went ahead. She calls it Lee Laces. Her name's Shaylee, but it's LEI Laces. And so I bought her the leilaces.com domain, which just it goes to her Instagram page where people can direct message her or send her an email. And in fact, I used Hover to create an email for her, shoes@leilaces.com. All of that was super simple. I did it within moments, and then I was super happy to go, by the way, Shaylee, I set this up for you, so that should make things a little bit easier for you. So maybe I can get a discount on those Baby Yoda shoes. That didn't happen, but at least the first part happened where I got to show her that surprise. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll be talking about that in the future, but it was really so simple to do. You're going to find excellent technical support available to answer any questions you may have. So in her case, if she wants to take over from me and sort of figure out her domain and email, it's going to be easy for her to do. And of course, their support team is not there to upsell you. They're genuinely there to help you get everything working and get you online. They're not there to say, oh, let's add this or add that. No. Hover has free WHOIS privacy protection. That's something that a lot of places will upsell you on. In fact, I had a PO box set up in the past just so when I was using a domain before I had Hover, a domain system before Hover, I could keep my information, my home address private. With Hover, I don't have to worry about doing all that stuff. My home address is kept private because of the WHOIS privacy protection they have in place. You get a clean and easy to navigate user experience and user interface, plus monthly sales on popular top-level domains. They always are having sales, which is a problem for me because I go in and I'm like, okay, I definitely want a .ca domain or a .tech domain. It's fun, it's exciting, it's good to have those, and they all sort of just go to my my personal website. So keeping your domain name separate from hosting, this is another important thing. Hover's not in the hosting business here. They are in the domain name business. And you really should keep those two separate. There are some sites that will let you create your website and we'll also offer a way for you to create a domain. But you really should keep those separate, because that means that you can take that domain name and go to any hosting sites you want. And if you got them both in one place, it can kind of be hard to separate those things and keep all that stuff managed. It gets a little messy. So Hover makes that easy and gives you the flexibility to choose the right platform for your business. You get to use a domain name that truly represents you and your passion. You visit hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. That's hover.com/twit for 10% off your domain extension for a full year. And of course, we thank Hover for their support of this show, the entire network. We appreciate you. All righty, Matthew. Do you want me to talk about MindFoist?
Sure.
All right. So this actually just came in. I'm going to be doing hands-on tech with it, potentially, but definitely want to talk about it here on Smart Tech today. And it is the JBL, and folks that are listening, use Matthew's shortcut if you're on
Show me
iOS.
this clip. Hey, lady.
Hey, lady, show me this clip. Hey, dear. You might have the guy. There's a really cool now South African male that you might want to use. But anyway, here is the JBL, which is by Harman, the Pulse 4. This is a waterproof. It's IPX7 waterproof. It is 12 hours of playtime, and it has a 360-degree light show as part of this system. So
Wow.
I'm going to pull this bad boy out of here. Again, waterproof speakers, I just wish they were all waterproof. I like my HomePod. I like the Echo Studio that I used for a while to try out that system. I like smart speakers that are stationary, but I love the Ultimate Ears Boom 3, I think it is. Mm-hmm. I use that thing everywhere. I will just hold it in my hand and take it around and listen to music on it. I can set it on the shelf in my shower and listen to podcasts, listen to audiobooks, listen to music there. And this is also a waterproof speaker that offers the same thing, but it offers more. For one, it's got this great subwoofer on the bottom that's really blasting the sound out. And then, get ready. Oh, also, USB-C charging, folks. Can we talk about that? That's fantastic because that's the future. But I'm going to turn it on. Ooh,
it glows.
360-degree light show. So and also there's a little white light strip on the back. It just went dark, so you can't see it. But when it first turns on, and it shows you how much battery life there is with this little white light strip. So I'm going to connect it. JBL makes an app called JBL Connect, and you connect your device to it. So let me hide
Does
this.
it let you control the colors
It lets you
directly and
control
everything?
the colors, but I didn't bring the second one in here with me, but JBL sent me two so that I could try this. It has stereo mode and something called party mode, which lets multiple people suggest music to play cool. From this. So we'll check everything here. The light show, I can change. This is currently set to wave. I can try spiritual. Let me play some. I'm trying to think of some music that I can play here that we can
copyright free.
Yeah.
Or can't you do less than 30 seconds?
But sometimes it gets taken down. So what I'm going to do is play some music from Hands on iOS, which is the show that I do that just recently launched. I'm going to change it. It's currently on spiritual. There are also buttons right on the device that let you change the different modes.
For anyone listening, the visuals on this are cool. It's got a whole blend of LEDs at the same time. So it's yellow and gold, not just one solid color. All
right. That was called Campfire. Here's Equalizer. Oh, wow.
Ooh, that's like iTunes. Yeah.
Here's Wave. And that's kind of one of the important points that I want to make about this is that it is not just sort of one solid, I don't know. Oh, there's the volume. It's not just sort of one solid LED light going up and down. They've got this way that they've kind of melted. It reminds me of the panels. What are those panels called? Why is it escaping me? Yeah, Nanoleaf panels. They've done some really cool stuff with the lighting to provide for this really unique experience. I quite like the equalizer. That looks so cool.
That's pretty solid. This is like the ultimate camping speaker.
Yes.
It's like a lantern and light show.
You can drop it in the water and everything will be fine. And then, like I said, you can pair them together. You get two of them. And, these are the Harman Kardon folks. So they make really good sounding speakers as well. And so it's not just, a low quality speaker paired with a really flashy light show. You're getting really good sound paired with a really high quality light show, which I think is what you kind of want there for sure.
Yeah. I have like the UE Roll, which is even like 5 years old or more now, and that still sounds pretty solid. So these look pretty cool. Yeah. I like the light show. Yeah, that's definitely something unique.
Absolutely. And so I'm looking forward to trying out the stereo pairing and seeing how they sound when they're together and sort of spreading them out into the space. This will include a link to as well, and I'll have more information on it soon, but is available it is $199, which is pretty pricey, but that is about the price that I think I paid for my UE Boom 3 that doesn't have the light show but is waterproof. You really are paying for that, like I said, the high quality sound system that JBL provides, JBL by Harman, as well as the ability to link to the multiple devices and that nice waterproof design that this reminds me of. I wish I could pour water in it, like drink it.
It's just a water bottle also.
Doesn't it look like one of those tumblers that you get?
That's pretty good.
Oh man. So anyway, that is the JBL Pulse 4, and I'm excited to take it home and annoy my neighbors.
Yeah, nice.
With that Bluetooth speaker. What have you got for us? What's your pick of the week?
So mine is the Eve Energy Strip, and this is from the folks that we were mentioning Eve earlier, but it's a connected triple outlet. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's no other HomeKit outlets, or maybe not, or maybe they have one or two. I don't remember exactly, but these basically let you control each of the outlets individually with HomeKit and Siri stuff like that. And I'm definitely going to be setting these up with some like automation type things. I play music, and so I have a drum set and a guitar, or an electric drum set and a guitar. And right now I have one thing to turn all of those on, and then basically it turns on like multiple amplifiers at the same time, which is just like always give out a little bit of noise. And so I'm going to try to use this to basically just like it's time to play guitar, and then have it play all of my music and turn on just the right lights and turn on the guitar all at once. So this is like $100, and it has a bunch of fancy surge protection and all that type of stuff. But this is a pretty solid device, and I'm looking forward to trying it out.
Cool. Awesome. That's I used that device, as I mentioned. I'm all in on Eve, and I use that around the holiday time to plug in multiple holiday lights and accessories to the one product, and I quite liked that. And of course, being able to track my energy expenditures and things like that. Folks, that is going to bring us to the end of another episode of Smart Tech Today. We do appreciate you tuning in, both in video, audio, and live forms. Thank you for hanging out, hanging around, and hanging, I guess, with us wherever you do that. You can email us if you have questions, thoughts, feedback, including me accidentally waking you up in the middle of the night, I'm so sorry, by sending us an email to stt@twit.tv. We record the show live every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is 4 p.m. Pacific. That's 2300 UTC. You just head to twit.tv/live, and that is where you can find all the different ways that we stream all of Twit live. If you would like to subscribe to the show, which is the best way to go about doing that, because you're going to get us in whatever format you choose, and at any time, regardless, you just go to twit.tv/STT, and you'll see links to all the different podcast applications or just the audio and video formats. It's super simple to find exactly what you're looking for there. Matthew, if people want to follow you online and get all of your awesome stuff, including when a battery is not working in a new device, tell us a little bit about that.
I was going to say, I just did a live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Matthew Cassinelli, and I was doing the whole Hue button unboxing, and then it just didn't work. So that stream actually I just deleted because it just doesn't work at all. So I was like, oh, this is extremely boring. But I did a whole conversation with my friend Alec Polianis after last week's episode about editing like on the iPad with Apple Pencil and Ferrite, which is pretty awesome. You can double tap the Apple Pencil to like play and pause while you're editing, which is very futuristic.
All right.
What about you, Mikah? Where can people find you?
You can find me at Mikah Sargent on pretty much all of the social networks. Of course, you can head to, what is it now? Twit. Yeah, no, not that one. I know my chihuahua.coffee, chihuahua.coffee, where there are links to all the things that I do. But if you want to follow the Twit community, we've got forums at twit.community, and also twit.social will let you join us on Mastodon, which is sort of the free person's Twitter. And so, yeah, we've got spots there available to hang out with the hosts. And, of course, always subscribe to @twit.tv on Instagram, and by that I mean follow, and @twit on Twitter. Alrighty, everybody, it is finally time to say good night to all your smart assistants.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, JBL. Good night, Waterproof.